Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Wizards Outlook. Joined as always, we have Roberto W. Jr., we have Raymond Lyons, Wilson Tarpe Jr., and tonight, positive news. This is a little bit different. It was almost twice in like 5 days, but the Washington Wizards provided a little bit of sunlight for their fans. Wizards hang on to beat the Heat 103-100. We're going to actually have some positive things about some stretches of defense, which was shocking to see because it proves that it could be done. I was shocked just watching it, it was weird seeing several stops. Like in a row. It was really weird seeing that. That said, Ray, we'll start off with you. Just your initial thoughts on tonight's win for Washington.
It was a defense, man. Like we talked about it right before we got on. Held them to 35 points in the second half. You know, if you put in that type of defensive performance, 9 times out of 10, you're going to win the game. You know, they gave up 34 points in the first quarter alone. So that just tells you, what type of effort they put in on that end. And some things I saw early, even when, their defense was shaky, when guys weren't making the right rotations and they made errors, we saw them communicating and talking about it. And guys acknowledging their mistakes, like, hey, that was my fault on that play or what have you, and then as the game progressed, those things got corrected and the effort and intensity was there. And that's what they need to win games, man. Like it's, we say it all the time. We see it for stretches, when they dig themselves in these deep holes, during those runs, when they claw them back in the games, they're getting stops. So they need to just stretch that out over a longer period of time to be more effective. But it was a good game for them, man. Pretty much everybody gave them positive minutes. Ish Smith struggled offensively, but he did other things to make an effect on the game. He had 5 rebounds and 6 assists. I had some hustle plays, stepped in, took charges, and did little things. Garrison Matthews, he's continued to bring what he's brought since he's been playing regularly. Troy Brown Jr., he stepped in after a long time of being inactive, and he played well. He didn't force anything. He played within himself. Rui was aggressive. He attacked the basket. One thing I did like in the fourth quarter, it was when Scott Brooks decided to bring Bill back in the game. He didn't wait until, it looked like it was getting out of hand for the Wizards or they were, they was losing control of the game. He brought him back in when they still had the momentum and they were up. I felt like that was a good decision. Alex Len gave him great minutes. He challenged things at the basket. He was being a 7-footer, and that's what they need him to do. And they pulled the win out, and the defense is what really impressed me the most. We know what they're capable of on the offensive end. We just wanted to see them fight and show some pride. And what really makes it even more impressive to me is they did it against a team like Miami, who is gritty, and we know they're gonna fight and scrap. So if they can do it against them, they should be able to do it against anybody. But all in all, it's a good game for them, a good win. Thankfully, it's not doom and gloom on a recap tonight. So yeah, man. Hope like they just need to keep this up. They got to win against the Nets, and the game in between was kind of lackluster, but they rebounded nicely tonight, and they did it without Russ. And Russ has been playing well as of late. So yeah, man, when he gets back in the lineup and he brings his his intensity to the game, then we should see them perform even better.
Ricardo?
Like Raymond said, they played defense. I feel like it was their most complete game of the season. They've been scoring, and this game they didn't even score a lot. It's frustrating. It's frustrating when people can play defense but they don't. They're capable, and that's what's been going on with the Wizards. Like we knew they couldn't play defense, they just physically couldn't do it and all that. Then it's whatever. You gotta shoot. You gotta have a shootout to win. You can do what you gotta do. But the fact that you got guys that can defend, but they just refuse or lazy and close out, not being aware enough or whatever, not listening to the game plan. As Scott Brooks said last night in the loss to dang, I can't believe Portland. You know, it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? But tonight they showed what they can do. They showed toughness. They showed heart. No rust, back to back. Scott Brooks said on presser that I called right before we went on. He said they ain't landed in Miami till 3:45 this morning. Probably went to sleep about 5 a.m. Then they had to wake back up and be at the Airlines Arena at 8 a.m. to get tested for COVID. So they only got 3 hours. And he said maybe we need to do that. That should be our routine on game days, so we can come out with energy to defend. But that makes it even worse that you had that grind. You in the middle of that grind. You come out play your best defense ever. Now it's really no excuse. We really not trying to hear. Now we know for sure it's y'all. It's y'all. It's just y'all not defending. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna shout out the bench on this. Bill has been excellent. We know he playing at an all NBA level. When it comes to Bill, I'm like, I know what I'm gonna get with him. I don't even include him in this equation. Mm-hmm. Except when his little body language get bad, I'm like, dog, you lead, you gotta lead. Clean that up, you gotta lead. But other than that, man, when he balling, he playing at all NBA level. And for those that don't understand what an all NBA level, that's bigger than an all-star. That means you top 15 in the league because there's only 15 spots. So regardless of the team you put on, so that's the level he's playing at. If they were winning more games, hell, you could put him in the MVP mix. That's how well he's playing. He's leading the league in scoring. He's doing other things. He's getting after much more this year defensively than he did last year. So kudos to him. But the bench today came to play. They had 38 points. Matthews, Bertans finally showed a post. Troy Brown Jr., you could tell he's motivated to prove to Scott Brooks I deserve to play more. And, Alex Len doing all the dirty work that they didn't really have before he came. Outside maybe Robin Lopez, at times. Denny was very efficient. He's starting to get his legs back. I mean, listening to him after the Portland game, think about it. He's a rookie. He ain't even played a full season. And look at all the craziness he done been through already. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the top prospects in Europe. So I'm pretty sure he's never lost like this. He's never had to deal with the COVID situation. And he's never had to deal with in the middle of a season probably, unless he got hurt 3 weeks and not doing anything, just quarantine. But then when you come back, you might get a little shoot around that. Hey, we need you tonight, buddy. And you got to try to figure out how to get your body moving and stuff like that. And you don't even know how because you're still learning everything. It's coming at him so fast. I just like how he's handling everything. That means he got a bright future because, you see it across the league. The situation is breaking down vets. You know what I'm saying? They struggling. And as a rookie, he's handling it all in stride. So that tells you what we know from the beginning. He's a tough young rookie. And he gonna be a problem soon. And I think the Wizards defended the 3 well. They took Duncan Robinson and Goran Dragic completely out the game. And we all know, especially Wilson, over the years covering the Wizards last 4 or 5 years, Goran Dragic has been the Wizards killer for real. That's one dude, and I love John Wall. That's one dude John Wall just couldn't mess with for some reason. I don't know what. Every player got that player. It's just that player they can't deal with for whatever. And it's never really a star. It's like a role player you don't think of that just cook you every time. You just like, dog, what the hell is going on? That's John Wall. That's John Wall's because, man, he took him off the pick and rolls, didn't miss, get the layup, lobbing at the Bam or before Whiteside. It got ugly, man. But they finally, I know he's battling his issues. He's a little bit older. He's battling his issues through injury, but him coming off the bench, but still, they ain't let him get loose, at home or whatnot. So, Miami, they shot 11 or 31 from deep. But I saw how the Wizards had an extra burst running out to close out and contest tonight. That's all we ask. If you do that, you're going to win. You're going to be in a much better position to win than, you looking at them like they're invisible or something, and then they reappear when the ball goes through the net. That's not what this is about, man. So all in all, good win, but they got to maintain it because Miami gonna come back here and try to even it out on Friday.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what you guys said, we got a chance to see just the mental toughness of the young guys on this roster. Troy Brown Jr. Rui tonight. I know you mentioned Denny already, and it wasn't in the everyone's favorite category. Points, just the physicality, the effort, like you said. A lot of just extra efforts on things like battling on the glass. I love you guys brought up Alex Len. It's not something that shows up greatly in the box score, but having a footer that's comfortably being a footer and likes being a footer and takes pride in being a footer goes a long way. There's a couple times a night you ended up with some mismatches. He had a little guy on him. He tried to end his life down there. Every time he had a little guy on him. He didn't play around or let me be pretty and shoot it. Let me show my skill. Nah, man, I got a baby. Here, this is what happens when my guys switched out on somebody else. Like Cardell said, Ray, you mentioned too, just it's crazy we watch a team who just treated defense as if it was another strand of the virus or something. And these guys come out here tonight in the second half with 35 to hold them to 35 points. It wasn't like it was a little bit of defense. Right, even down the stretch, like a couple of those possessions, the ball was bouncing in Miami's favor a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And for a team that we've seen that doesn't play defense, to mentally stick in those possessions until you secured it, right? I'm sitting here, I watched that. The first thing I'm thinking, I'm looking back at all these other games, and I'm like, seriously?
Makes you more frustrated.
Yeah, like part of me is it's good. It was a good win because you fought back and then you held on. There was some poise at the end of the game, and most importantly, you did this without the surge of energy Russ has provided once he came back. Because Russ been on one since he returned, and he wasn't available tonight. And again, like you guys mentioned, it wasn't like this was some great offensive explosion by Washington. They scrapped tonight. It was simply just scrapped. Brad did him, but again, like you guys mentioned, Denny. I enjoy just watching the youth kind of find their way and just compete. And they each had little stretches. Some of it was 10 points here, 11 points here, 9 points here. But each of those guys had a couple stretches. You were like, Troy Brown Jr., several plays that impacted the game. Rui Hachimura, several plays. And especially Rui had a game where he could have had 15 or 20 points tonight. And the shooting touch was just horrible tonight.
Mm.
And he stuck with it, still found other ways to help. Go ahead.
No, I just think his confidence a little shaken, but this is what making this stretch this season so tough at all levels of basketball. You can't really practice to get right. And now they're on the road, so I hope they setting up kind of like a bubble ballroom where they can get some goals in there, some courts in there, and they can go in there and try to shoot. That's not the arena. For people that may not have played in the arena, it's different. The spacing and all that, it makes the whole goal look smaller, even though it's not from the same range. It's different. So I know he's used to that, but kind of working in the ballroom is not the same. But whatever alternatives do you have, you can't really go nowhere. So you can't practice like that. So he just got to get in rhythm, man. He's a rhythm player. It is what it is. But I like the fact that he's still competing like what Wilson was probably losing to.
Yeah, exactly. Just the fact that on a night where you shoot 2 for whatever, you were on the glass. The times that you did score, shielding Iggy off you, driving to the bucket. Your team needed a bucket during that little stretch. It was a meaningful bucket. Well, I'm sure everyone would have loved for you to complete the 3-point play. But again, some wins aren't pretty. On a night like this, every little bit, these 2 points here, 9 points here, 7 here, 8 there, it played a role. Like it played a role. So.
Okay, you can't be picky about wins. I remember in college, the old 4 Pistons that won the championship.
Yep.
They was beating teams like 83 to 60, 65, though. Like that's when the NBA changed the rules. That's when they changed the rules. You're like, we can't have our champions just like this, dog. And it was like 5 games in a row. Teams they get above 65 on them, dog. They like, no, we gotta change the rules, dog. So you see what I'm saying? But were the Pistons fans tripping when they was holding up that championship cup?
No.
They was happy as hell. Eminem up there freestyling. You know what I'm saying? Look, man. Kid Rock on there is crazy. Look, dog, like they had a good time. They ain't give a damn. So I look, just get the wins because now if you play the same type of defense we saw in the second half, you got the Heat again, the Hornets, the Bulls, the Raptors, the Knicks, and then the Celtics. You can possibly win 5 before you have to play the Celtics. Those are winnable games. And then this changes your whole season. Now you in the playoffs because looking at the standings, I mean, what Charlotte Hornets is in the 8th spot. Wizards only 3.5 back. So you win the next 5, including beating the Hornets, you could very well be in the 8th spot. Or right behind it. That's the crazy thing. So they're not even out of it. And that's what Scott Brooks keeps saying, like, no, we ain't even play games. We was out for 3 weeks.
Yep.
So we get some games together and put some wins together. This changes the whole season, the whole vibe and stuff like that. So now I hope this is a stepping stone for these guys to understand that this is the type of way you're going to have to play. You're going to play defense like this. Forget the offense. Y'all going to have to put more energy on defense for y'all to have a chance to win. Because we know y'all going to score points, but if y'all don't stop these other teams, they're going to destroy y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because even the teams I think they can beat coming up in the next 5 games, the Knicks are stubborn. They're tough, but they're young, but they're stubborn. They going to fight you all the way through. You're going to be tough again. Charlotte's playing well. Young boys up there, they trying to turn it around. They playing well. You got to give them credit. The Raptors, they've been an enigma to me. I don't understand why they struggling, whatever. But they're gonna be a tough team. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be a tough team to beat. And I think the Bulls already beat the Wizards. So you know what I mean? This the NBA, man. You are what you are till you prove otherwise. So they got an opportunity to prove otherwise. So we're gonna see what happens.
And that's the thing. And again, I hate to be the person that's always a very bad news, but again, like Cardell told you guys, that's the optimistic side of it. Now, if you come out here and do the opposite of what we talked about tonight, you know, the opportunities to dig yourself out this hole instead of 3.5 back could be 6. But this needs to, again, you just proved that you could play defense. Like it's not a foreign concept. It's been possible. So it's up to y'all at this point. Ray, you got anything else you wanted to add before we move on?
Man, I don't know what the coaching staff needs to do to connect the dots and get the players to understand that this is what's required every game from here on out. I don't know if they need to bring a hypnotist in or something, but if like we say after every time they play well, if they can maintain this, then their lives become a whole lot easier. You know, but if they revert back to old habits, then they're gonna get the results that they got. So, like you said, Wilson, it's on them, man. They got to decide how they want the rest of this season to go. And like Cardell mentioned, this could be a favorable stretch for them. You know, so they just got to go out there and prove it. You know, what we saw tonight, it just makes everything prior to even more unacceptable than it already was. You know, because like 35 points and a half, man, that's not just playing defense, that's locking up.
Yeah.
Like, so if you can do that, and it's not like Miami doesn't have capable players, man. Like you did that to Bam, Jimmy, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, and Dragic. You know, like they'll face many teams without that much talent. So it really is absolutely no excuse. So I don't know what they got to do behind closed doors to get that message across, but they need to figure it out, because if they can bring this effort forward, then they'll make the playoffs, plain and simple. If they play like this consistently, that's what we said. We were saying that in the preseason.
Yep.
You know, if they bring the effort, then you know the win's gonna follow, because as we said and continue to say, that offensively is not an issue. It's all on the defense. And the more stops they get, the more runouts they get, it'll fuel the offense. You know, even if they're sputtering, they string a few stops together, maybe get some layups to get them in rhythm or what have you. Then once the offense gets rolling, we know how they can put up points. But defense, effort, and pride, that's what's going to determine the rest of this season.
Cardell, you had anything else you wanted to add?
Nah, just do what Raymond said. I think Portland embarrassed them. I think that's what kind of sparked it. They embarrassed them the way they shot on them. It was they made them look like a high school team. You know what I mean? So we're gonna see, man. Keep it going. Simple as that.
All right, folks. Thank y'all for hanging with us tonight. We'll see you Friday night after the second part of this baseball type schedule with Miami, and then I know they play again on Sunday at 1:00. So we'll see you guys then.